Welcome to Pretty Truth. The truth isn't always pretty, but it's always the truth. This is my story about when I had COVID. Um, this is a controversial topic, so you might not like what I have to say. Um, I've had my conspiracy theories throughout this whole thing, this past, 2.5 years. Um, a lot of the conspiracy theories happen because everybody's trying to figure it out. It's not that people are stupid or paranoid, it's that the world is fucking falling apart and we're all, well, not all, but many of us are trying to figure out why and what to do to stop it. So let's just say the COVID thing, I always knew this was not a regular virus. This was not a regular disease. This wasn't something natural. This wasn't just, oops, a lab let some infected animals get out. Like, come on. So I'll tell you what happened to me. I got sick the weekend of Halloween. So Halloween was on a Sunday. And on Friday, in the middle of the afternoon at work, my boss, we were kind of slow, so he asked me, hey, you want to leave early? And I usually don't. I like working, I like the hours. But I was like, yeah, I'll leave early. Came home, and I went to bed like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And my friends were getting ready to, go out for Halloween because we're going to go out basically the whole weekend. Uh, and I didn't get my costume yet, so I was going to go do that. And I couldn't stop sleeping. It was so weird. Then I got a fever. Now, I know it's stupid, but I don't have a thermometer. Well, I do now. I didn't have a thermometer, so I didn't know what my temperature was, but I could tell, like my ear would be like blazing hot. It was so weird. So that was Friday. And then on Saturday, I kept sleeping and I knew I had a fever because I'd be freezing cold and then I'd be sweating like crazy, and I'm not really a sweater. And so one of my friends actually went and got a thermometer for me, and shit, like my temperature was like 102. Okay, now this part is my fault. I should have went to the doctor. It was Saturday. I could have found a place. But I was too sick to go to the doctor. Like, that's how bad. I did not want to even leave the bed. And I didn't feel, okay, there's two kinds of flus that we call the flu. Like, you have the flu that's like a cold, like your nose is running, throat, head, stuffy, whatever, sneezing. And then you'll have the flu that's like stomach stuff. Well, I didn't have either. I had this raging fever and the sleeping. Like, I could not wake up. It was so weird. So my friends all go out. They went out on Friday night the day before, and then they went out on Saturday. And I was like, just go, just fine. Just leave me alone. I just want to sleep. That's all I cared about, is sleeping. So I didn't have the headache that everybody says they have with COVID. I never lost taste or smell. Nothing happened in the beginning. Nothing happened stomach wise. Like, it was just that fever and sleeping. So Sunday, Halloween, I am like, my whole body, every ounce of me was in pain. Like, my hair hurt. It was crazy. I still didn't have a headache, but I mean, head to toe, I was in so much like crippling, crampy pain. It was weird. And then the fever, and the fever would, I swear every hour I'd either be freezing to death or sweating. It was so gross. And so finally, I was not going to go to the doctor again that day either, but thankfully I did. I went to like an urgent care and went into the urgent care. I don't even remember driving there. And, but it's okay. So the nurse practitioner that worked there, I don't have a doctor, but she was good enough. She was like, "Whoa, I don't think I can treat you. You've either got COVID or pneumonia or both, and you need to go to the hospital." And I was like, "Oh my God, no, just give me drugs, like, I just need antibiotics. Just come on, I gotta work this week, whatever." And she's like, so she like pinpricked my finger, like test my blood sugar or whatever, and then uh, I stood up to take my hoodie off so that she could put the armband on me to take my blood pressure. Nearly passed out, like fell back in the seat. And then I just got really weird. And then I did get nauseous. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. And she's like, okay, okay. And so they had like one of those little, doctor bed things and with a roll of paper on it. And she's like, okay, sit on that. So I sat on that and I started to lay back and I was like, oh my God, no, I can't do that either. So I stand up and I'm like, I got to get out of here. She's like, you need to go to the hospital. I go, okay, I'll go to the hospital. And so she's like, no, I'm going to call an ambulance. I'm like, I just got to get out of this room. So I go out and of course it's a CVS, whatever. And so there's like customers everywhere. It's so embarrassing. And so I didn't know what to do. And then I almost started to cry. Like I just like panicked and I felt oh my God, it was horrible. So she's like, okay. So she puts me in this office and I'm just sitting there and I just start sweating bullets. Like I'm surprised like her chair wasn't wet. That's how gross it was. And then all of a sudden the paramedics show up and it was so embarrassing because they're always really hot. So like 10 of them, like super hot paramedic dudes show up in CVS. They put me on the stretcher and wheel me out while customers are like staring at me. It was so embarrassing. So I go to the hospital. So I'm in the ER and they put my ass in my own private room. Like there were patients out on hospital beds in the hall waiting to be treated. Not me, man. I had a fucking private room because they were like, ew, quarantine her. So, which was a good thing. I didn't mind that. So I stayed in the hospital. That was Sunday evening. And then I got released Monday, late afternoon, early evening. And they didn't give me anything except IV fluids because I was so dehydrated. And Tylenol to bring my fever down, but nothing. And they didn't feed me or whatever. You know what? I mean, whatever. But I was just like, really? So when they go to release me, they hand me this packet. Now, this could be the hospital that I was in, or this could be a national problem. I'm going to find out. But at my hospital, I will not say which one because in the end they did save my life. But they hand me a pre-printed packet that they hand to everyone with COVID saying there's no cure for COVID. Total fucking bullshit, by the way, but I'll get into that in a minute. And go home and take vitamin C and shit. I'm like, okay. So my friend picks me up from the hospital. Now here's what's kind of weird. And once again, this could be my hospital, not nationally. But if it is a national problem, we need to do something about this. They released me with a fever of like 99. I disagree with that. And they knew I had COVID because they gave me they jammed the Q-tip up in my eyeball. So they knew I had it. And you still release me with no medication whatsoever except for the IV fluids and Tylenol. And you still release me with a fever of 99, What, I was stupid, whatever. I didn't know then what I know now. My friend picks me up, takes me home, and I lay in bed suffering for like a day. And then all of a sudden, the coughing started. And it was that weird. Now, I had pneumonia when I was in fourth grade, and I was actually in the hospital for a week. And so I knew I had pneumonia. I knew it. I felt that weird tickle. Now I don't have asthma, but some of my friends who have and have had asthma problems said that it's kind of the same thing. It's that weird, deep, internal lungs tickle, just that cough that where you're not even coughing on purpose, it's just your body's coughing. So I knew right then I had pneumonia. So my friend, uh, I guess, oh, there was I guess when you have COVID, once again, this could be my hospital or maybe it's a national thing, I don't know. But this is a good part. You have a nurse that calls you every day if you're home and calls you to check up on you. So the nurse called, and my friend said, she's got this cough that just is like really scary and the fever and stuff. And then at this point, I'm pissing blood. Okay. So, actually, in the hospital, they had taken a urine sample, and okay. In the hospital, they did take a urine sample, told me I did have a bladder infection, which I didn't know. I didn't have any symptoms of in the hospital, but they had prescribed me some pills for that, and my cough medicine, and some more Tylenol. So my friend gets that for me, and I lay in bed for another day. So that was the night of Monday and then all day Tuesday. And I'm getting sicker and sicker. And I keep thinking to myself, why? I mean, really, there's no cure for COVID? Like, there's antibiotics, and I mean, there's antibiotics for everything. And we all know now that there's antiviral medication. I know it's not as common, blah, 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 but I mean, hello, we're in America, it's like, so they won't give me anything except for my bladder infection pills, and I'm literally pissing blood. I know that's so horrible, but yes, it was scary. I've had a bladder infection twice in my life before. I wasn't pissing blood. I had like pain, but nothing, you could see anything. So that was pissing blood. That was scary. Then I start like coughing up blood, but that could be because I was coughing so much. So I get this medication, and I'm just laying in bed, and I'm getting worse and worse. And so my boss says, okay, you need to go and get the monoclonal antibodies. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I've seen commercials, but I don't know what it is. And he's like, just call any hospital have it. The one you went to, go to another one, whatever. So I call, and yeah, they do. And it's an IV treatment. It takes like 1.5 to 3 hours, whatever. And you just sit there and get like this IV bag of whatever the stuff is. So my other friend drives me up to the same hospital, and he wait, okay, let me get my story straight, because I went to the hospital 4 times. No, I take that back. Before that happened, on that Tuesday night, I was so sick again that I went back to the hospital. Now, this time, one of my friends drove me. I didn't go by an ambulance. So first time went there from the urgent care by ambulance. Next time went again, my friend driving me. They still won't treat me. They just give me IV fluids because I can't drink anything. Every time I would take a sip, then the throwing up started. Every time I would take a sip, I would either cough it back up or throw it back up. Couldn't eat anything. It was horrible. So third time at the hospital, my other friend drives me up there too. Now this time I didn't really feel comfortable driving, but I could still walk. I know. So he drops me off to go into their little clinic to get these monoclonal antibodies, which I do swear by. And I go in, and they take my pulse rate and my oxygen levels, and they say, we can't give this to you. Your oxygen levels are too low. I'm like, what? no, you have to give me something. They won't give me anything. I'm getting worse, and I have pneumonia. So the other two times in the hospital, they had taken a chest x-ray, and they said I didn't have pneumonia. But I did. Well, I did, but I knew it. Nobody listens to the patient. So I, I'm just like, what am I going to do? I'm getting sicker. I will start crying. And I'm not really a crier. I may seem like that, but I rarely cry. So, like, this whole thing is just like, I'm always like crying. It was like crazy. Just so emotional, and scared. And so I get up to leave, and they're like, no, 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 we've got a wheelchair for you. I'm like, no, you don't have to wheel me out. My friend's going to come pick me up outside. It's fine. Come on. They're like, no, we're taking you to the ER. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, okay, I guess you do believe me that I really am the same. So I call my friend and say, guess what? You don't have to pick me up because I'm back in the hospital, third time. So they wheel me over there and get in the ER again. Now, see, all my hospital visits were all the emergency room. And granted, I know that the ER is a little bit different than getting admitted to the actual hospital, because you have different nurses, different doctors every hour, people coming and going, everybody's just trying to do their best to rectify the immediate situation so you don't die right there. It's not necessarily to treat you for your health, but whatever. So here I am in ER again. So I stay a few hours. They release me again. Now this time at this point, I'm starting to get so sick that I don't even know really what's going on. Like mentally, I'm just like fading in and out. Yeah. So some of my story might not be 100% accurate because I kind of can't remember stuff. I couldn't even figure out what was going on while it was happening. That's how sick I was. And I'm a pretty alert person. So I tell a nurse, I'm like, you guys aren't treating me for anything. I've got COVID. Give me antibiotics. Give me antivirals. Give me something. So, she didn't really say anything, but whatever. So they release my ass again. So this is third time in the ER, get released. But this time they send me home with oxygen. They sent me home with a portable tank, which was huge. It looked like a welding tank, if you know what those look like. And then also this like machine that you plug into the wall that like creates its own oxygen. So my friend, he picks me up, and the nurse wheels me out to his car in a wheelchair, and I am like violently shaking from my fever that they allowed me to leave with again. And he is trying to rig up the portable oxygen tank in the back seat and get all the tubing over the front seat so I can put it all in my nose and stuff so I can breathe. And this time, I won't make the sound because I don't even think I can make that sound anymore, but I started making this weird sound, like this gagging, choking, like drowning, like gasping, I can't even do it. It was so loud and creepy. I've never made that noise before, and I haven't made it since. It's so weird. And I'm just making this noise and shaking like crazy. So it gets me rigged up into this thing, like get the oxygen on, and the oxygen did kind of help a little bit. So we drive away, and I'm just like, oh, it's crazy. And he's like, should we go back? I'm like, no, it's fine. My God. So now when they wheeled me out in this wheelchair, I know it's like standard protocol or whatever, but this time I could walk. Yeah. So he gets me home, and he parks kind of like on the side of my apartments. Then we still have to walk down a ways on the sidewalk, and he's dragging the portable machine that you put it, or no, the machine that you plug into the wall. It's heavy. And then I'm trying to drag this like welding tank down the sidewalk while I'm just gasping for air and I can't talk. It's like crazy. And if you know anything about me, I'm a talker. I like can't talk. So I'm gasping for air, making this horrible noise. I'm walking like 1 mile an hour, like it's crazy. So, I mean, he at one point in like the middle of the sidewalk, halfway to his car and halfway to my apartment, we both didn't know what to do. Like, we both thought maybe we should call the ambulance again. Like it was crazy. Anyway, so he gets me in the house and he rigs up the oxygen machine that you plug in the wall, gets all the tubing, and I put it on and everything, and I'm just like, I can't even explain it. We should have filmed it. Seriously. If people saw that, they would be like, oh my God. So he gets me all rigged up in the bed with all this tubing and stuff. And, and he stays with me for a few hours. And then, then I finally kind of fall asleep a little bit. But I have to I'm sitting up like against the wall because I can't lay down at all. I can't lay on my back. I can't lay on my side because I feel like I'm going to literally I feel like I was drowning. Well, I guess it was because I had pneumonia, even though they wouldn't believe me. Okay. So that was, well, now see, this is the part where I don't remember. So that was either Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure. So I am just suffering. Okay, and I know this is like a public video and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it because I want you to know how bad this was. So at some point, none of my friends were at my place. I was by myself, and I woke up and I had pissed all over myself. It was straight up blood. Blood everywhere. And then I had thrown up because I couldn't move. I had thrown up random areas around me and on me, and it had blood too. And at first, when the blood would come, I know it's so gross. When the blood would come up, I kept thinking, well, it's probably because of all the coughing I'm doing, right? And so, I'm choking right now, but I don't have COVID right now. I'm good. But oh God, can you imagine? What another time? No, I'm just kidding. I can't. Nobody can be that unlucky. So, I realized that blood is in my puke, and so then maybe a couple hours later, then I did full on throw up. Like I was awake and took because I had bags and napkins and trash bags and everything, and I am hurling, and then I look and it's fucking blood. So it wasn't just that I was coughing blood; I was throwing it up and pissing blood. God, it was just all bloody. So yeah, okay. So Saturday rolls around, and I'm at death's door. I mean, I keep thinking to myself, I was probably hours away from dying. Not days, not even a day, literally hours. I probably had about 3 hours left. Seriously. And I'm hallucinating and just, oh my God. So the nurse that calls every day, from the hospital to check on people with COVID, and also I guess because I had the oxygen machine, they have to do whatever. So she calls me on Saturday afternoon, and I can't hardly, just like this. And she is, and then making that, sound. God, it's horrible. So I tell her I'm mad at this point. Oh, actually, okay. The night before that, when the nurse called, my friend was here, and he got on the phone with her, and he started yelling at her. He didn't cuss her out, but he yelled at her. He's like, you guys aren't treating her. You're giving her IV fluids. That's it. She's already been in the hospital, all these times, and you don't do anything, giving her Tylenol. It ain't helping. She's getting worse. So, all her answer was call 911. get an ambulance, go back to the hospital. So Saturday afternoon, she calls and I answer, and I'm just trying to explain to her. I'm like dying, right? So she's like, well, what about the oxygen? And I go, I don't think it's working. I don't think it's blowing enough. And it really wasn't. We didn't set it right. I mean, they don't tell you how to do it. They're just like, here, I don't know. So she's like, well, can someone fix it for you? I can stay on the phone with them and tell them how to fix it. And I said, you don't understand. I'm on one end of the bed and that machine is on the foot of the bed. I don't have the strength to get across the bed to go to it. That's how bad it was. I could not move. So she's like, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Call 911. So I'm just like, whatever. So I hang up. So I call my friend. Well, actually, I didn't call him. I texted. And I kind of feel bad about this. But honestly, I didn't know what else to do. And I couldn't communicate. I couldn't talk. I couldn't do anything. I literally texted, help me. So he calls right back and he's like, oh my God, what's going on? I said, I don't know. And I can't breathe the oxygen machine won't work. They won't help me, whatever, going crazy. So he's like, babe, I'm at work. Let me figure something out. So I probably passed out. I don't think it was very long though. It was either 30 minutes to an hour. It was less than an hour. All of a sudden, two of my friends show up, our mutual friends, and these two girls, and they show up. And the way my apartment is now, the funny thing is I left my apartment unlocked for like a week because I didn't know what was going to happen. So they, walked in, and the way my bed is in my bedroom, they like walked through the apartment and then came into my bedroom and like kind of turned that corner, saw me laying there. They both started just bawling. They hadn't seen me since, I guess, maybe the Monday prior when I was just getting sick. I was still pretty sick, but like after my first hospital stay. And they were shocked at my condition. And then I start crying. And then I'm like, am I gonna die? They're like, no, you're not gonna die. You'll be okay. So they call an ambulance and they had to dress me. I couldn't lift an arm to put on or take off a t-shirt. It was ridiculous. That's how bad I was. So these two girls are literally dressing me. I couldn't even put my own shoes on. So they dress me, put my shoes on. The paramedics come in. And they have the stretcher at the front door, but not inside the apartment. So one of the guys, cute as hell, of course, is like, can you walk to the stretcher or whatever? And I'm like, like, sure. And because I can't speak. And so I go to stand up. I fall right back in the bed because I can't do anything. Like I can't move, I can't talk, I can't breathe, I can't live. So my one friend and him pick me up and like carry me, like I'm like scooting like this with my feet to try to, like this, to try to get to the front door and then get on the stretcher, and I'm making that noise. I can't even do like, that's what it sounded like. It sounded like a pig that just got stuck in the butt with like a big pin or something. Like, it was horrible. And it wouldn't stop. Like, every breath was that, right? So they get me on the stretcher, and then they get me in the ambulance, and then, thank God, this one paramedic. Now, so I've been in the hospital now 4 times. Once by ambulance, 2 that multiple friends took me to, and then this 4th ambulance ride, or 4th time, 2nd ambulance ride. So the first ambulance ride, they did give me oxygen, but I wasn't as bad. Like, I wasn't doing that breathing or whatever. So this guy, he rigs up this thing in like the ceiling of the ambulance, and with this tubing that comes down and this mask, and I put that mask on and it had like mist in it too. Oh my God. It was like heaven. I was like, I might be okay. Like, I I was like, oh my God, I can actually breathe. So then he gets that on me, and then he's putting like my IV in my hand. Yeah, they did that to me before. Oh my God, they had so many IVs. Get me in the hospital. ER again. So I'm in the ER, and then all of a sudden, really, I mean, I just got in there, and then my friend who I had texted to help me, he shows up. Like he had called our two girlfriends to come over and get me and deal with that, and then I guess they called him and said, "Hey, meet us at the hospital. She's going by ambulance." And then he came up there. He like took off work, and I thought that was really cool. So, um, so he comes and sees me, and I'm still whatever. And all I have now, I just have my IV bag of fluids, whatever, and some more Tylenol. So maybe that's why I was throwing up blood. No, I'm just kidding. Well, maybe shit. So anyway, so he goes out in the hall and whatever he's talking, and then all of a sudden I hear like yelling. He's out there giving it to him again, being like, fuck y'all, fucking treat her. She's going to fucking die. Like, whatever, So all of a sudden, this different doctor and his nurse come in and see me and blah, blah, blah. And then they come in with the chest x-ray machine again, the same dude. I'm like, hey, I'm here again. Of course, actually, I'm not being funny at this point. Like, my humor is out the window because I just can't even live and can't talk, can't do anything. And give me a fourth chest x-ray. And then they send me for a CT scan, which they should have done 2 hospital visits before, but whatever. That was a fiasco. Oh my God. Me trying to get off of the little mobile hospital bed onto the weird curved flat CT scan bed. Then I had to put my arms above my head and lay back flat. It was horrible. It was horrible. I literally thought I was going to die in the CT machine. But I didn't. I just made my horrible noise. So they get me back up, wheel me back to the ER again. So then this chick comes in with this different IV bag. It was this weird thing where, everyone's seen an IV bag, from television, but this was like a double thing where she had to click it and like mush it together somehow or something, whatever. So that went in my other arm. So I just thought, it's probably some sort of antibiotics or whatever. Well, guess what? It was remdesivir. You'll have to look it up. Remdesivir. Saved my life. Nobody knows about it. It's an antiviral. It's actually closely related to HIV drugs, but more specifically targeted for COVID. That shit saved my fucking life. So, that same doctor and nurse come back in and they go, we're admitting you. I'm like, you think? Of course, once again, I can't be snarky, sarcastic, or humorous because I can't breathe air. So I'm just like, so they take me upstairs to the 4th floor to the ICU. And I get up there and these 2 nurses, they're like waiting for me. And they had this oxygen machine that was like a freaking high-powered blower. Like, those swamp boats with that fan? That's how strong. I thought my head was going to blow off. So they put this in my mouth, in my nose with the little nasal cannulas, and then they also had an oxygen mask on my teeth. Literally, I felt like my hair was blown back, but I was just like, oh, yes, give me air. Then they both start trying to hammer into my head that I need to be on a ventilator. So, yeah. Now, I am highly against ventilators. They do so much damage. Going in, taking them out, and all the drugs that you have to be on because you have to be in a medically induced coma for however long you're on it. Then they have to strap you down, like like you're a criminal or something, strap you to the bed while you're completely unconscious, because if you even just kind of sort of wake up with whatever drugs they're giving you, your body just natural reaction is to grab all that stuff out of you, right? And then you got a feeding tube down your nose. I mean, ooh, and a catheter. I mean, oh God, and I was just like, absolutely fucking not. So they're just like, and of course, once again, I'm so fucking sick that I can't even speak for myself. Like, I'm just like, like that. So they could tell that I don't want to do it. Now, here's the deal. Of all of the conspiracy theories about the ventilators, which I do believe, the conspiracy theories, that is, I will say this. My condition, and if anyone that I saw was in my condition, looking back, I probably should have been on a ventilator. I mean, that's how bad it was. However, I didn't. And so then they put in this third IV. So now I've got one IV in one arm for my regular fluids. I've got this other IV in my hand, actually, because I'd already had that put in from the paramedic. So I have this other IV in my hand, which is that remdesivir stuff. Yes. Then they put another IV in my other arm. Monoclonal antibodies that they refused to give me a couple days before. Fucking also saved my life. Now, they also had me on blood thinners every morning at 8 a.m. They would stick a huge needle in my stomach, different places. Those were blood thinners because COVID gives you blood clots. That's one of the main things that people die from. Then they had me on antibiotics. What? I have 4 IVs. Yeah, so I had fluids. Yeah, that's right, because I was thinking I had IVs in both hands because I couldn't move. That's right. So I had fluids, arm, antibiotics hand, remdesivir hand, and monoclonal antibodies arm. So they were just pumping me full of shit. And then a nasal cannula, the things that go up, like in the movies or whatever, up my nose with the tubing, and then also an oxygen mask. Wow. And here's the crazy thing. Now, once again, I'm so out of it. I'm like going in and out of consciousness, right? So I don't know the time span, but I just remember that when they admitted me and really started giving me the medication that I should have had a week before, but whatever, that'll all be in the lawsuit. No, I'm teasing. As mad as I am at the beginnings of how bad they treated me, in the end, they saved my life, and it's all good, and I would never sue because that's wrong. But just joking around. So, this all happened maybe 11 at night, maybe midnight. In the middle of the night, maybe like 4 or 5, probably. So this was November. So this is probably maybe 5, 6 o'clock in the morning where the sky starts looking different, kind of a lighter blue color as the sun comes up. I all of a sudden woke up, or became conscious, whatever you want to call it. And I hate to use the term felt better because it took me a couple of weeks to not do that thing and not be able to move. I had to have a porta potty next to my bed, like that potty chair. I even had a bathroom inside of my private room, and I couldn't even get to that. It was 4 feet away from me, which could have been a galaxy away so far. So my potty chair, just me trying to get the blankets off of me and get up out of the little tiny twin bed to get into the potty chair was hell. I felt like I was moving like a tank or something. It was crazy. And the breathing thing that I would do and the shaking. Well, the first time I used the potty chair, I had to have a nurse basically hold me down because I was violently shaking. It was crazy. But nevertheless, so back to what I was about to say is, I hate to use the term that I felt better, but I would say that probably right about to die, and not going to die. Not better, but like not going to die. Just with a few hours of that remdesivir and the monoclonal antibodies. And then they also had me on azithromycin IV for my pneumonia, which they finally admitted that I had. I think the CT scan is what proved it. So, yeah. So, I was in the so my week. So this all started on I now who knows when I got COVID, I don't know. But I started having the horrible symptoms Friday before Halloween. That whole week of fucking around with the ER and all that shit and almost dying at home. And literally, and I'm not kidding around, I would say that if I wouldn't have texted help me and my friends wouldn't have came and had an ambulance take me, I probably would have died in maybe a couple more hours for sure. Ah, shit. Okay, I'm not crying. But don't you cry either. It's all good. Everything's good. So I got put into the ICU on November 6th. I think that's what date that was. That was a Saturday. And I didn't get released again until Thursday, November 18th. So yeah, I was in there for a little while. And then here's the craziest thing. So with COVID, you get blood clots, which killed many people. You also get the pneumonia, which kills lots of people. Then you have to take prednisone to help open your lung pathways, whatever passages, whatever. And that can create long-term diabetes, which thankfully, thank God I did not get. Then you get neuropathy. And I had this thing. In fact, it's just a few days after New Year's now. I think today's like January 6th. And it was only until maybe about 2 weeks ago that I did not have that crazy nerve pain where I felt like my fingers and toes were like this. My body was like this. So they had me on this other medication called gabapentin. And it's an anticonvulsant and for neuropathy. So COVID also gives you that too. And then, just everything else. So here's the deal. I know you're going to think I'm crazy. But I don't believe that I had a regular virus. I do not believe I had coronavirus or rhinovirus or SARS or MERS or whatever. Don't believe that. What kind of regular, normal, earthly, natural virus would absolutely wreak havoc on my body like that to where like I had internal bleeding and everything else that went with it? COVID is not coronavirus. COVID is a man-made biological weapon. I don't know if it's an actual, well, I think it's got a virus in it. I mean, they didn't just poof magically appear out of nowhere. They've done some, they've taken other viral material and fucked with it. SARS, maybe it has all of them. Maybe it's SARS, MERS, coronavirus, rhinovirus, maybe it's everything. Maybe it's Ebola, I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, what I had was not normal. It was not natural. It wasn't the earth does this every 100 years. No. I had a biological weapon. Now, how I got it, I don't know, because here's the crazy thing. The only person who had COVID was my boss, and then his wife got it. But nobody else at work, none of my friends who literally took care of me, touching me, making me food, holding my head up while they gave me water, touching all my stuff. Like, none of them got it. Riding in the car with me with no mask on, no vaccines, whatever. I'm telling you right now, COVID is not coronavirus. Now, of course, we all know that China made it, and I mean, everybody can admit, oh yeah, it is a man-made biological weapon, or it was a man-made something, maybe to help you. Who knows? But I'm telling you right now, this was created on purpose to get rid of a whole bunch of us. And I'll make another video about some of my other little ideas about that. But yeah, so call me crazy if you want to. But yeah, I didn't have coronavirus. Come on. Seriously? No. I didn't just have pneumonia. I've had pneumonia. I wasn't even that sick. Come on. What I had was something else. But I will say this, if anybody that you know gets that sick, because you do have to be hospitalized to get the remdesivir, because it's an IV. Although the monoclonal antibodies, they're an IV too, but you can sit in a clinic and go in and have that procedure done. I highly recommend that. But yeah, yeah. So anyway, that was the time I got COVID. All right. Thanks for listening. Bye.